This is Deshaun Hamilton, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, and you're listening to LCC Network.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network for Week 2 of the 2020 offseason, the beginning of the 11th season in our league's history. And we got Cody on the show today again, 2 consecutive weeks. How's it going?
I'm all right. How are y'all doing?
Pretty good. And we got Jameson like always.
What's going on, guys? Week 2 of the offseason. Only 33 more weeks left, Patrick? I think so.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Yeah, that's right. And some quick announcements here. Not a whole lot. Draft order proposals end on the 12th, which is Sunday. So make sure you get those in.
Yep.
Voting begins on the 13th. Voting closes on the 19th, which will be the next Sunday at 11:59. So make sure you get those in. And then also, it's Will Watson's birthday this week. So not today. Which I feel like I started building that up like it was today. It's not today. It was this week. Happy birthday, Will.
It's already passed. Yeah. At some point between the last episode and this one, a birthday happened.
Happy belated birthday. On the show today, we got some rapid fire. I'm actually going to ask these guys some questions. I think we've got 5 of them here. Not anything super detailed. We'll have some discussion for about 10 minutes or so. And then we'll jump into some of the offense and defensive rankings we like to analyze this stuff. Just because it's fun to look at where you fell, right? We have some really bad teams that were really high up on one ranking or the other. So we like to those and try to find patterns, right? Like, was there that were good? Were they great on one end? Were they great on both ends? Were they balanced? Were they heavy one side? You know, how did they build their rosters, right? So we like to utilize that data and it's during the off season. So I think you guys want to jump in before we get started.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, right. He won't hear this until his birthday, maybe.
Yeah, he won't. Yeah, he won't hear this.
Best birthday wish we can give him.
Yeah, we'll crown his ass. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, we'll go ahead and jump right into rapid fire. We've got a sound drop here, so we'll kick it off. so stupid.
Oh my god!
In case anyone's wondering, that's a dub. That's the gun fight from The Matrix when they're in the lobby of the building. Somebody dubbed that, saying pew 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 like 1,000 times, and that's where I got that from. So, pretty stupid. All right, guys, I got some rapid fire questions here. Feel free to jump in. Some of it's a little bit trivia based, some of it's just discussion based, but we'll kick it off here. I want you guys to put these fantasy players in order based on how they've been this past season, right? So we'll see if you guys get this right. Stephon Diggs, Michael Gallup, AJ Brown. Put those guys in how they finished. Stephon Diggs, Michael Gallup, and AJ Brown.
Oof. How they actually finished, or how we think they're gonna do?
How they finished in the LCC.
Okay.
How they finished in the LCC, like what their rank was after the season.
Michael Gallup was dead last. That's my.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like he had to have been dead last out of that group.
I'm gonna go AJ Brown as the one because I know I'm pretty sure he was like the only rookie receiver to get 1,000 yards.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think he was.
I would say the same, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying Brown, Diggs, and Gallup?
Yeah, in that order.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly right. Actually, that's exactly right.
Sweet.
AJ Brown was 20, Stephon Diggs 24, and Michael Gallup 28. I actually thought Gallup had maybe passed Stephon Diggs, but no, they were pretty close, but did not pass.
If he had, I would have been severely surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I had Gallup, and he was pretty solid, but he wasn't that good.
Yeah, 8 points between the two. That's all it was.
I felt like early was like where he struggled, but then Diggs has those like games where he just doesn't even show up.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely hurts.
So besides Darius Leonard, because he's obvious, who is your number 1 ranked fantasy linebacker heading into next season? Wait, early prediction.
Besides Darius Leonard, dang, man. Put me on the spot. I was not prepared for that one. I'm going to have to – I'll go with gosh dang it. I don't want to go Bobby Wagner and say something just like the good old boy type deal, because I don't think that's true. But I'll just say Bobby Wagner for now. It's pretty safe.
It's safe. Yeah, it's a safe pick. All right.
Yeah,
Cody?
I mean, I like him for sure. Honestly, the first one that popped into my head was Jalen Smith. Just I like his situation.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I was actually leaning towards him too. Even with Leighton Vander Esch coming back, I think he's proven this season that he's a stud linebacker. So just to be different, I'm not going to say either one of those. Just to be different, and I'm going to. Oh man.
Hey, that's all I was. I just picked a name. Literally, I was like, like
It's rapid fire.
No, you know what? Screw it. I'm going Jalen Smith. Yeah, I've got to go rapid. I'm Jalen Smith. Question number 3: where does Jameis Winston end up playing in 2020?
Hopefully not
Who
Carolina.
cares? Next, I'm just kidding. No, God,
I think he stays with the Bucks.
Okay, all right.
I just don't think. I don't.
If not Tampa, I'm going to say Colts. I'm going to go on a limb.
That's not bad.
Oh wow.
I just think he turns the ball over too much for the Colts to want to I don't know. I really think that the quarterback class isn't very strong in the offseason, and they're going to have a plan before they just push Winston out. I think maybe they try to put Winston on a smaller contract in terms of years and tells them look, you got to play, and if you play good, then we'll pay you. If not, you got to move on.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's back there. If he does go back there, though, I'm going to say a team like the Chargers, maybe. I don't know. I mean, they got one turnover-prone quarterback. Maybe they don't want another one. I don't know. But what about Tom Brady? Okay, so Tom Brady, I think he stays in New England. But if he doesn't, where do you think he goes?
Chargers.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I've seen that
that's not a bad guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that a couple of times, through the internet and whatnot. That's why I say that.
That's a good one. I'm gonna say, and this sounds crazy, and it's not gonna happen because it's he's got legacy. There are a lot of reasons he wouldn't pick this place, but a place like Tampa with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, OJ Howard, Bruce Arians as head coach. I mean, if they got a couple pieces on the offensive line. I mean, if they could get a couple more pieces, I mean, those are weapons he doesn't have now in New England. Now, again, that's a way, way, way out there on a limb, less likely than the lottery. But it's interesting.
I think the coach to player thing is the best thing going for that, because Arians is he had that good luck with Kurt Warner. So I think that really probably helps, or way I would lean towards that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I think Brady, his average salary is $35 million. It's got to be a team that has some decent cap on there. And I think Josh McDaniels might be an X factor too of where Tom Brady may go. He likes Josh. They have great chemistry. They complement each other very well. I could definitely see something like that happening. I think he's going to stay in New England though.
I do too.
Yeah, I think he stays in New England. Right. So next question, we got 2 more. This one's more trivia based. Which NFL team had a player finish number 1 at defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back in the LCC this season? One team had a player finish number 1 at each of those positions.
And what were they again?
This season. Linebacker, DB, and defensive line. So basically the defense.
I'm going to go. But he had the number. Dang, man. That's tough.
They had different players from that team finish number 1 at those spots.
It's got to be a team. All right, I can't take too much time. I'm going to go Hunter.
No, it's an NFL team.
No.
Yeah, NFL team.
Oh, sorry.
NFL team. Yeah.
I thought you said LCC. I was
no. They finished in the LCC.
I was like, that's why I was thinking, who the hell had those guys? They should have won. I know it wasn't Cameron.
So, for example, if the Panthers had the number one person in our league was a defensive lineman, the number 1 linebacker was a Panther, the number 1 DB was a Panther. That's what I'm saying. An NFL team had that happen in the LCC.
Arizona.
Oh, I see.
Arizona.
Pat, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely go Arizona.
It is Arizona.
Word.
Yeah, Arizona. Chandler Jones at defensive line, Jordan Hicks at linebacker, and Buda Baker at DB.
I did not know Jordan Hicks was the best linebacker.
Yeah, number 1 by
Wow.
well over a point per game.
He got trashed in the offseason by y'all, I feel like.
No, not me.
I mean,
not me. I've been sucking Jordan Hicks for like months now. Like
he literally has.
I love me some Jordan Hicks.
We had to buy him chapstick around.
Did he make anybody's top 10?
Getting pretty bad.
My throat started to hurt. He didn't make my top 10. I don't think he did. I don't remember.
Well, then you must not have been sucking very good.
I don't remember where he finished in my rank, but I had him pretty high up there. I talked about him in the waiver wire.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
I'm pulling it up now. I'm going to put you in the spot. Hang on.
Okay. I know I was.
Here. Jameson.
I love
Jameson had Jordan Hicks.
Like 17 of that.
You ready for this?
It definitely wasn't like
Jameson was the highest on him.
That.
He had him 18. He had him at 18. He was the highest on him.
I'll give you that. At least you're the highest on him.
Our average, though, between the three of us, our consensus ranking had him at 21. I had him at 21, where our consensus did, and I just had him at 23.
But he was a waiver wire pickup, so I loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, so based off of like where he ended, ended up being, y'all predicted him to be a late 2-backer.
Yeah.
Like
middle road to back half of LB2. Yeah.
LB2. Yeah. Yep. We definitely liked Arizona.
You know who we were super high on, and we'll never make this mistake again. I guarantee you, Miles Jack. We had him at 17.
Yeah, this is for Miles Jack.
I forgot you had Miles Jack. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I traded him in week 1 to Peyton.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Geez. I knew Matt traded for him, and I thought it was a really good pickup. Especially they didn't have Smith coming back.
Dude, there's no reason this guy should not be a top 24 linebacker in IDP leagues. It blows my mind someone with that kind of athleticism playing middle linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars can't produce. It just blows me away.
Yep.
They just got a lot of problems, I think, like overall. That, I mean, he can't mask everything, you know. I think he's athletic enough to put up the numbers, but he's one of those people that you have to have people around him, you know.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to shut a block for you or anything. He's the type of guy, he's got to be in open space and tackle the guy.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next segment. I had one more question, but it kind of sucks. It was Devonta Freeman or Phillip Lindsey next season. Who do you have ranked higher?
Lindsey by far.
Phillip.
Yeah.
Freeman's he's on the back half of his career. He hasn't stayed healthy in 2 years. Like, it's just tough.
Freeman's pulled the Miles Jack on me. I've had enough of saying he's going to be good. He's going to be good again. Like, I'm done with it, till I see something.
His situation is just really good in terms of there's nobody else there, really, especially after they got rid of Coleman. Like, you really thought he was going to bust out healthy. It just never works.
Never worked. So we'll get into the rankings here real quick. We'll run through, not real quick, but we'll run through some of them. That's all right. That's actually our Fantasy 4 sound drop. I wanted to play it because I missed it. Offense, defense rankings. We'll start with the offense here. Some of these guys are actually going to surprise you. Isaac at number 1, 1,684 points of offense this season. And this goes from week 1 to 12. We didn't consider anything after that because a lot of guys weren't playing. So number 2, Peyton. Number 3, Matt. Matt had the 3rd highest offense this season. Number 4, myself. Number 5, Patrick. Number 6, Charles. 7, Mondo. 8 is Jordan. Number 9, Cody. 10, Billy. Which Billy is that?
Lowry.
Billy, that's Billy Ray. Yeah, Billy Ray. Yeah. Number 11, Michael. 12, Colby. So Colby's 12 there with the number 1 seed. John, 13, Tyler. 14, Daquan. The second place, all the way at 15 on the offense. Big Oss. Storm Hunter at 18. BP at 19. Mike at 20. Hey, are you Dirty Mike and the boys? Mufali at 21. Jade at 22. And Matthew at 23. Oh, and Cameron at 20 4 with 1,000 points. So Isaac had over 600 more points. So over 50% more offensive points than Cameron did this year. And Cameron was a champion.
Almost 700
Can I
more
say
points,
this?
really, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Isn't that wild?
Say it.
Can
Say
I
it.
say this? I feel like I just feel like Cameron got hot really late. He made some really good pickups, but if Cameron wasn't in the division that he was in, if he was sitting in maybe like Pat's division, I don't think he would have even made the playoffs.
Oh, man,
It's definitely
the group chat is going to be loud.
yeah, it is gonna be loud. I can't wait.
I'm gonna need it and like watch football. Like, oh man. I mean, I think there's a case.
No, he
I
definitely.
mean, I just think it
peaked.
would have been too big of a hole.
I mean, you can't argue against it. He peaked at the perfect time. He won last 4 or 5 games, and like you said, like if he didn't make just a couple of those moves, like the Ryan Tannehill pickup, my God, he doesn't do that. That could have been it for him. If you think about how great Ryan Tannehill was at the end of the year, or really ever since he got the starting job.
And Sanders, like,
yep, that's another one.
But that's what it takes. I was listening to another fantasy football podcast this week, and it was an older episode. They were talking about a guy who won a championship. He scored the least amount of points in his entire league, and he ended up winning the championship. He just like stumbled back into the playoffs, and then just kind of got through and won the thing. So you never know what's going to happen. It's weird. But besides Cameron, does anybody else here like surprise you? Like, I mean, Hunter at 18 on the offense, Peyton at 2. I mean, is there anything here that you're like, wow, that's shocking?
Jade at 22. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So wait.
Hang on. I was doing some math real quick. You guys talk.
So, which one's Matt and Matthew?
Matt.
Like,
so Matt is Crazy Legs, and Matthew W is what's his name? What's his name, Pat?
Watchhorn. Matthew Watchhorn.
Okay, yeah. I just it confuses me because a little bit. Matt's sitting at 3 on the offensive rankings.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, who would have thought that? With the record he had, his offense is great.
Only 60
I guess
points.
that's been his thing. I mean, he did win his 2 championships off of, were they even IDP leagues?
No, it was back before.
No, they weren't.
I mean, that tells the story right there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how long did it take him to even get to the point offensively as well? Like, I felt like early on when we first started this, the first 4 years, Matt literally picked the same like group of people every year, and then finally he just started getting more and more comfortable, and that's when he exploded for the 2 championships back to back.
Yep.
Yeah. He's he kind of had to accumulate to it. You know what I mean? He just dip his toe in there and get kind of warmed up. But listen to this. Out of the 12 teams that made the playoffs, half of them finished at 13 or worse in offensive rankings.
Wow. Well, so that to me...
In fact, 4 of those six finished... Actually, no, more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of those 6 finish at 18 or worse.
Wow.
But that shows you like the amount of points that are being averaged for defense, which is 18,
exactly.
And the amount for offense. So like, if you're not good at defense, people are scoring more points from defensive players, not offensive players. Like, I mean, almost 400 points more per average defensive player scored.
Yeah, and all the ways to the team. So you got guys like at the top, you've got guys like more balanced guys like Isaac and Patrick, and then you've got really offensive heavy, defensive heavy. But you're right, Cody. I think it definitely shows where you're seeing those points, come from, right? So
how much do you think that's going to change this year, though? When you look at the roster limits and everything, and the roster sizes, like I don't know if you can get by like this coming year having a weak offense and a really strong defense. I think you're going to have more of a balanced team because of the fewer, starting positions we're going to have. Like you can't use all your flex on defense now.
Exactly. You can't flex 2 extra DBs on top of all of your other, on top of your third DB, right? So you got 1 flex and then everything else is pretty even. I mean, I think it'll still be fairly defensive heavy because most people will probably use that flex as a defensive player, I would imagine. So
there's just more top end talent defensively, fantasy wise. Like the more consistency, like with linebacker and like safeties. You know what I'm saying? I think there's like a big gap between like top tier running backs, and then there's this massive gap, and then you don't really have like you have a couple guys that like hit you good games here and there, and then same thing like there's a lot of good receivers, but there's so many good receivers on so many different like on a team. There's probably like 2 to 3 good receivers, so there's guys that are having really good games one week, and then they're kind of trickling down after that. Defensively, man, like those guys stay up the whole time, I feel like.
Yep. Yeah, and like to that point, like what's easier to pick up, like to plug in a week, right? You can pick up a guy like who's the Oakland Raider, Tahir Whitehead, right? You can pick him up and plug him in one week, and he can get you 30 points or 35 points. But what are the chances you find a running back to do that on the waiver wire, right? Like, do you play Frank Gore or do you play Tahir Whitehead? Like, neither one of them are great, but who can have the better week? Probably our league, at least, the tackle heavy league.
Yeah, you're probably just with the amount of people that play linebacker and DB. There's 4 DBs, 3 backers on each defense, and then you just have 1 running back, maybe 3 receivers on it. Just more opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm sure people listening will kind of keep that in mind as they think of how they're going to build their teams next year. I made the mistake of trying to be more balanced. I went really heavy in the offseason with trading on offense and stuff, and it worked, but then my defense collapsed, and I found myself out of the playoffs. So lesson learned, right? Oh, man. So speaking of defensive rankings here, we'll kind of run through these real quick. Hunter, number 1. 2289. Cameron at number 2. So Cameron was completely unbalanced, right? No, number 2 defense, worst offense. John at 3. Daquan at 4. Patrick at 5. You were 5 in both. Probably the most balanced team.
What?
Isaac at 6. Isaac at 6. He was pretty balanced. Mufali, BP, Mondo, Matthew Watchhorn at 10. So top 10. Matthew Watchhorn. Billy Ray, 11. Mike at 12.
Hey, are you Dirty Mike and the boys?
Colby, Peyton, Michael, Cody at 16. Storm, Jordan at 18. Charles, myself at 20. Tyler, 21. Matt, 22. Big Oss, 23. And Jade, 24. Jade, by far the worst team. Statistically, that we saw 20, what was the offense? 22 and then 24 in defense. So statistically horrible. Big Oss 23 in defense, but his offense was at least 16. So he tried.
It's not just that Jade finished 24th. He scored 100 points less on defense than 23. Like that's the jump between 24 and 23. It's a full 100 points. We're talking like nearly 10 points a game on average difference between Big Oss's defense and Jade's defense. And Jade inherited Ethan and then Bryson's team, like arguably one of the worst franchises in the league for a long stretch, and still had a better defense than Jade. Like that's, I don't know.
Oh, you mean Big Oss inherited that and then had a better?
Yeah. And put a better defense than Jay did.
Yeah,
So
just
I guess
to speak that.
You got it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You got it. All right. I was saying, I guess that waiver wire strategy that Jade employs didn't quite work this year, especially for the defense.
No, I don't think it's going to work ever again the way Jade used to do it. I mean, he built his entire team. He would go to the draft and just wing it, dude. Like, I remember first draft ever, first round, he drafts Brett Favre in 2010. Like, that had to have been one of the most boldest moves I have ever seen. At 2010, drafting Brett Favre in the first round, and then get Antonio Gates in the second.
He's never. He's always like stumped me with his drafting, and I feel like that's why he's always been the butt of certain jokes. You know, like. But then he had those stretches where he was just dominant for 3-4 years. And got 2 championships off of that. Like, so it was hard to like keep dogging him with the way he drafted because he was producing results, and at that time, I definitely was not.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was a different league back then. It's kind of like trying to compare guys like Well, I don't know. Jim Brown is a guy whose name will live on forever. But I'm sure if you try to compare Jim Brown to Ezekiel Elliott in today's NFL, there's a difference. All right. Different playing styles, different ball game entirely, different rules. It's a whole different chapter of NFL history, just like it's a whole different chapter of LCC history, J 2013, and Cody 2018 or Cameron 2019. It's just totally different. You can't even really compare them.
Yep. So speaking of scoring, just to kind of finish this whole conversation here, overall scoring rankings: Pat number 1, Isaac 2, John at 3, Hunter, Daquan, Mondo, Billy Ray at 7, Peyton at 8. So Peyton had a great offense, the 8th highest scoring team, and missed the playoffs again. Colby at 9. Again, Cody at 10, Cameron at 11. So Cameron, middle of the pack, won the title. BP, Mufali, Charles at 14. Michael, Jordan, and then myself at 17. Matt, Dirty Mike at 19. Storm at 20. Tyler 21. Matthew Watchorn 22. Big Oss 23. And Jade 24. The biggest thing that stands out to me here is there's over 1,000 points between number 1 and number 24, which comes out to like 80 or 90, 80 something or 90 points per game.
That's absurd.
Less, which is insane. But you look at the number, when you look at 9 to 17, it's like a 50-point gap basically between like 8 or 9 teams, which is only four points a game or something like that. And then you see teams just finish so far below that, right, or so far ahead of that. So it's wild. The gaps are wild.
Look at the like some of those guys at the bottom 4. Tyler hasn't made the playoffs since 2014. Matthew Watchorn, well, he inherited what was his name?
No, that was Mondo.
No,
Kevin.
Kevin.
That was a
Kevin.
bad team.
Kevin was just as bad as Bryson.
Bad.
That's a rough spot to start. Big Oss, same deal. But Jade and Tyler, no excuse. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are so far down there. They've been in the league for so long. They're not new to IDP anymore, but yet they're just gross. Their teams are awful.
Well, look at John, number 3 in scoring, and only 6 wins. So sometimes things just I think sometimes they just break the wrong way for some guys. But you're right, there's a trend for some other guys where they're constantly at the bottom. They haven't made the playoffs in 4, 5, 6 years, if ever, right? And then you see other guys that got bad breaks. How do you score 3rd in the league and only get 6 wins and not get in the playoffs, right? Like, that's tough to do.
Yeah. I want to say 2 things. I want to give actual shout out to Michael, because I thought Michael had a much improved season from the previous 2 or 3. He's basically was part of those bottom 4 right there, consistently. And then second, you know what? I want to you look up here and you look at the top 3 guys, and what is it? It's Pat's conference, right? Like I said earlier with Cameron, maybe if he's in that conference, is it a different story? Does he make it? But I will say this, Cameron did have a dirty defense. Just going and looking at his roster just a second ago, and me not knowing that Jordan Hicks was quite as high as he was. I knew he was top 10, but I didn't know he finished 1 personally. I guess I didn't think about it. And then I knew Buda Baker had a really good season. And then you had Jalen Smith, who I just said is the number 2 going in behind Darius Leonard. I didn't realize his defense was quite as top level as it was. And so, kudos for him for building that.
Yeah. And he actually had Chandler Jones too. He had the number 1 at one point. He traded Chandler Jones to Isaac, but at one point he had all the guys who would end up finishing number 1 in the defense, which is crazy.
But even then, Cam Hayward, top 5, is he not?
I think he is. Yeah,
I think so.
I'll check.
So even then, giving up number 1, and I don't know what he got back for that. But giving up the number 1 guy, and you're still able to kind of sit there and still have a good guy. And then you still got Joey Bosa. Everybody knows he's a quality guy to have. He's I really like what he had. Harrison Smith, solid. He's a top 5 safety, 10 safety. I don't know, but So, kudos to him. And he built a nice little receiving core, if I can just point that little bit out. But good job, Cameron.
We'll play this for. I haven't done this. We'll play this for Cameron.
If you want to crown them, then crown her.
So Cameron, congrats, man. Before we do our NFL playoff predictions, which we'll have to do quickly, any final thoughts on scoring, offense, defense, anything like that you guys want to say before we move on?
No, I think it was just interesting to see like how some guys are higher up didn't do what you would think they should have done. And, vice versa. Some guys you feel the other way about.
The only thing I want to say is with the bottom people, I feel like it gets to this point where maybe they kind of rely on the people they know more than the people they don't, and they don't even give the people they don't know a chance. And I feel like that hinders them building a roster. And I would say to do your homework, and that there are players outside of your mind realm that are still good.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure, just filter by average points per week.
Or go to some rankings.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 rankings out there, and just start comparing a bunch of them. And if you see that same name circle back into the top 12 or so, then or top 24 in this type of league, especially what we're about to go to, then you got to know he's somewhat, if there's a pattern with this player and he's sitting in everybody's top 20s, then I would definitely start to look at him. Go look at his stats from previous years, or go look at the last 7 games or something to see if maybe he went on a tear or something. There's so many ways to figure out other players outside of the players in your knowledge realm. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, awesome, guys. Well, we'll move here into. I actually know a couple guys who host a podcast that do rankings every offseason. So
do they really?
They do, and they're fantastic. They're fantastic. No, but
that's pretty cool. That's pretty
NFL
cool.
playoff predictions. We'll finish up the episode really quickly. We got to finish up real quickly here. So give me your best answer. Not too much discussion on this. Vikings at 49ers on Saturday. Who do you got? Oh, hold on, real quick. Just a reminder: myself and Cody finished 2-2 last week. Patrick went 0-4 in his playoff.
Oh man,
that's funny.
So,
dude, I don't know how I struck out in all this. That's ridiculous. You would think, just the law of averages, you would get one of those right.
Nope.
Good God.
0-4. So keep that in mind if you listen to Patrick's predictions. All right, Pat, go ahead.
All right. Well, maybe I'm just the kiss of death, so sorry to these franchises. But I'm going to go. It sounds crazy. I'm going to go. I've got to pick an upset today. I've got to do it. And I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings winning in San Fran.
They are going to win. I got $20 on this in that other league.
Oh, I did see that. I haven't muted, but I did see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the Vikings.
I'm going to go with the Niners. I'm going to pick the Niners at home. Titans at Ravens Saturday night. Who you guys got?
I'm going to go Ravens in this. It just
I'm going to do like I did.
You said Ravens?
Yeah, you said Ravens.
What'd you say? Yeah, I said Ravens. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to say Ravens are going to win, but like I said last week, I'm rooting for Tennessee.
I'm going to pick the Ravens in a grinded out game. Texans at Chiefs Sunday at 3.
I'm going to go Chiefs. I'm going to go Kansas City. That's a tough place to play, dude.
It is. I'm going to go the Texans because I went against my man Deshaun last week, and he proved me wrong. I can't do it twice.
I'm gonna go Pat Mahomes in the rematch in Arrowhead in the wintertime. I'm gonna pick the Kansas City Chiefs, and then Seahawks at Packers Sunday at 6:00. Who do you guys got?
Packers.
I'm going Green Bay, dude. No, that Seattle team's so overrated. They just are.
I don't think they're overrated. I just think they're missing key pieces that you need for a playoff run, and Green Bay's got those pieces.
In my only upset of the week, I'm going Seahawks at Packers to win. Seahawks to win. So we'll see what happens. But don't forget who you pick. I'm going to run them down so we'll know our record next week's. And if you're a fan of any team that Patrick picked,
Sorry.
good luck this weekend.
Sorry. Sorry for your luck.
Sorry for your loss. All right, guys.
Hold on, hold on. Give me one thing. Just because it's coming up, y'all got to pick the national championship.
Oh,
you're right. All right. Well, I was talking to someone at work about this, and I'm going with LSU, man. I know if people are going to say I'm a Gamecock fan, that's why. But no, I really like that offense and that defense are just ridiculously balanced, man. I really like their odds.
Well, I'm going Clemson, obviously.
yeah. I wonder what Cody's going to do with that one.
Yeah.
I'm going LSU in a shootout. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, LSU.
All
right, guys. Well, that's it. We'll see you next week. I think next week we're actually doing a what we got right, what we got wrong episode. So we'll be able to toot our horn a little bit about our offseason rankings, and we'll be able to hide our faces and shame a little bit with some of the players that we missed very badly on in 2019 season. So until then, good luck if your team's playing, especially if you're Patrick's picks, and we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.
Deuces.